I want to welcome everybody to the Cedar Park Chamber of Commerce Lunch Connect. I'm Tony Moline, President and CEO of the Cedar Park Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank our presenting sponsor, Cedar Park Regional Medical Center, for doing everything that they do. I also want to thank this month's lunch sponsor, Cedar Park Economic Development. We truly appreciate it. Today's program is our state of business. It's going to be myself and Ben White. Ben White joined the City of Cedar Park as Director of Economic Development in October 2018. As Director of Economic Development, he is responsible for leading the City of Cedar Park's economic development program based on the City Council vision and goals for creating job growth and attracting and retaining businesses in Cedar Park. Ben has over 20 years of experience in the field. He has served as President of the Williamson County Economic Development Partnership, President of the Central Texas Foreign Trade Zone. Prior to joining the City of Cedar Park, Ben served as Vice President of Economic Development for the Round Rock Chamber of Commerce for nearly 8 years. He earned his Bachelor of Science in Business Administration degree from a university in Kansas, and I'll just leave it at that. He's very proud of that, so we got to make fun of him somehow. Ben sees Cedar Park as the next job center for the region because of its demographics and location, lending themselves well to corporate headquarters, the high-tech industry, and advanced manufacturers. Ben has a proactive approach and high level of enthusiasm, as you will all see very soon. So please help me welcome Mr. Ben White. Then y'all know me. So it's going to be me and Ben today. Ben, do you have anything you want to start off with, or?
I'm very impressed with your reading skills. That was very.
You like that? You like that?
I mean, for saying that. And yes, Kansas University, the team beat the number 8 team in the country yesterday in basketball. So
something like that. Something like that.
We're doing well.
Well, Ben and I are gonna start off by talking about where Cedar Park was prior to COVID. And I want to ask the audience as questions pop up, use the Q&A portion at the bottom of your screen. I've got it popped up, and so we'll be taking questions throughout, and we'll answer some of those questions towards the end. But as they come up, just put them in there. So Ben, we talked about where we were prior to COVID-19. Businesses were growing in Cedar Park. I know that you and I were both at the groundbreaking for James Avery HQ2. You want to talk a little bit about that and kind of how that came to fruition and everything?
Yeah, we before COVID hit, just under a year ago, Cedar Park was hitting on almost all cylinders at that time, and the activity that we were seeing, the breaking grounds that we were participating in, we're about to set some record paces and some high job growth numbers at that time. And then COVID hit. But before COVID hit, I mean, you had, as Tony said, you had James Avery break ground on their second headquarters. You had Voltabox with their expansion. We had AMT and Abeo relocate into Cedar Park. The crossover, built that beautiful facility out there in Scottsdale Crossing. We were able to land MSB Consulting, which is going to create over 300 jobs in Cedar Park coming in. Wexco was coming in from California. They expanded into Cedar Park. Redhorn did their expansion. We were firing on all cylinders right before, and then COVID hit, and so. It's been an interesting couple months here that we've had with COVID, but we were really hitting on all cylinders, and I do think we'll get back to hitting on all cylinders here pretty soon.
Yeah, Ben and I, we'll talk more about what happened when COVID came through, and what our responses were. But it is amazing how. I think it's kind of proven that the businesses that were able to weather the storm and stuff. Cedar Park was in a good spot because we were already on that upward trajectory we have a little dip going, with COVID and everything, but that means that we're better set for the recovery as well. And Ben and I have talked about that quite a bit as well.
Yeah, and on that, the city and the chamber, our office and the chamber, we work together on, business retention visits. And many of y'all are getting visited by Randall, Malik in our office, and Tony. And a lot of those visits right now are being done via Zoom, and that's good. But we still want to be out there and visit with y'all, make sure that you have what you need to be successful. And if you don't, we want to hear about that so we can hopefully help you overcome those obstacles.
Yeah, perfect. I think that that kind of leads us into our response, especially at the beginning of COVID. One of the things, Ben, I think it was you that reached out to me to start, having a weekly or daily in the beginning, daily meeting. You and I were every day communicating, kind of coordinating our responses. We were able to connect each other with good resources. And so, I appreciate the fact that you were proactive in that, especially in those early days.
Yeah. And I think that was important. And, I think for the last several years, the city and the chamber have had a very good relationship. And I think we just got even closer during COVID. I think that's what COVID has done to many of us during this last several months. But having a partnership between the Economic Development Office and the Chamber is vital as we advance the, expand the tax base and create these jobs, because these businesses need to have a home in our community, and the Chamber helps, give them that home and helps them connect into the community. So it's vital. And so, having the Economic Development Office and Chamber work together with our small businesses, which is the backbone of our community, working together to help them and trying to figure out what it was we could do to help them. I think that was really the initial question was what is it is, and I think the initial thing was communication.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and so in that, I think that we were able to connect each other. We were on a lot of, we had to learn about a new technology called Zoom. I think everybody is pretty handy with that now, but especially for me, I had never used Zoom before, but we were on the Williamson County Economic Development Group. We had the original Wilco Ford group was there to talk about how to help small businesses. You and I were part of the Manufacturing Association phone calls and stuff like that. And so, again, it was about getting that information out.
And the Chamber, I thought y'all did a great job early on and continue to. Y'all were sending out those emails, keeping everybody abreast of the situation and what the information come out, because we were getting hit by all these different sources, and having that condensed into one email was very important for the business community. And so y'all should be, hats off to y'all and pat y'all's back, that type of coordinating and communicating.
I appreciate that. It was definitely a labor of love, I guess you could say, because it was something that, I know from our standpoint, we were getting, like you said, inundated with emails and trying to condense that down. It was actually Lindy's idea to kind of start sending out that newsletter like that. And originally we were thinking, we'll just send 1 or 2 a week. And we had so much information, and it was changing constantly. So I'm glad that people saw that as a benefit. It really helped us. Early on, there were calls from the governor's office for businesses, especially manufacturers, to help where they could. And I know that Red Horn and Whitestone Brewery started making hand sanitizer. Ben, I think you were the one who connected, or you and Randall were the ones who connected VUV Analytics to start helping make PPE. And I think that answered a lot of calls that we were excited about our local businesses being able to do that. And it really kind of showed us the community spirit that was here.
Yeah, I agree. And it really said something to these businesses that they were able to switch their gears and kind of do things for the greater good. And Whitestone and Red Horn and VUV, and I know there were several others.
Yeah.
And so we're leaving people out. I know we're leaving people out.
apologies to those businesses, but
We were in direct contact with those three, and they were able to help out within our community and outside of the community, and I think that everybody kind of they stepped up to the plate and helped out their fellow mankind.
yeah, and it was again, it was about working those lines of communication. If I would call Ben, and Ben would talk to the emergency management structure within the city, asking what is needed, and so we were able to use kind of everybody's contacts to start getting those things put together and getting them ready. It really helped out. Ben, yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about the small business assistance program? I'll let you kind of kick that off.
Yeah, this was, as we were talking about, the first thing we needed to do was get through some communication and get some facts out to the business community. And then we started working on how can we help our local businesses, our small businesses, because that's when the shutdown started to occur and the occupancy numbers were starting to occur and everybody was working from home and there was a lot of uneasiness. And the federal government was stepping up with the PPP program, and there's some other programs out there that we were watching. But I give a lot of credit to the leadership of the mayor and the city council and our Type A board and the chamber board coming together, because they set the policy for us to enact the small business assistance program. And we used $200,000 from the Type A fund that was used to help out our small businesses. We housed the program in the chamber because that's the quickest way for us to get the money into the hands of the people who needed it. And so that was the whole idea behind that, and have that partnership with the chamber. Eric Boyce, who was the president of the Type A at the time, served on the committee with Tony and myself. Eric is now obviously a city council member. We're happy to have him on council. But we acted quickly, I think, and I'm going to let Tony give the numbers here. But I think within a week and a half of when the city council passed the resolution to allow the Type A to spend that $200,000 on the small business assistance program, I think within 10 days or within a week, businesses started having checks in their hands from the chamber. And so, the way the city reacted to that, legal, obviously the council, city manager's office, legal, the way they helped with the resolution, finance department, getting the funds allocated and cutting the check to the chamber and having the follow through, and then Mr. Boyce, helping with the committee was just, it was all hands on deck to help out our business community. It showed a lot. I hope the business community felt how important they were to the city, because we were trying to do everything we can to help them out, and so hopefully it was. And Tony, I'll let you speak on your side.
Yeah, I think I echo all of that. It was pretty amazing to see that many departments within the city and in the chamber all working, flawlessly. It really was kind of a unique dance that we did. We had, on our end, we had a lot of background stuff that was going up on the website. The chamber staff, Lindy in particular, designed and put a lot of that stuff on our website so that we could get that information out to those businesses, push it out through emails. We had that website ready to go so that as soon as council voted on it, and they did vote to approve it, we made that website go live and people could start applying. And I'll tell you what, I had probably 15 completed applications in my email that next morning. We ended up having about 75 applicants. Of that, there were some qualifications. You had to be located in the corporate limits of Cedar Park because it's tax dollars. It's City of Cedar Park tax dollars that was funding it. So you had to be within the corporate limits. We had made a decision no home-based businesses, no sole proprietorships, no nonprofits. There were other routes for some of those, and we were trying to, this was before the Paycheck Protection Program money had been distributed. You could apply for PPP funds, and we did have a caveat that you had to have applied for an SBA loan of some sort or a loan from another financial institution. You had to provide that. So we weren't just giving out free money. You had to have a need, and we went through those. And so of those 75 businesses, we were able to approve 63 of them. We gave grants of up to $5,000. The average grant was a little over $3,100. And so, like Ben said, those checks went out within days of it even being approved. And so, there was a lot of behind the scenes work with that, but it worked out well, I think, for all those involved. And so it was kind of amazing. Again, people were starting to get PPP loans and those funding in. We also, concurrently, we're working with, Ben actually got me into, an introduction, and I started working with the Wilco Ford Group, what ended up being the Wilco Ford Group. And we had a major role in developing the county initiative that was similar to the Small Business Assistance Program. And so the Chamber and City pushed that out to all businesses in Williamson County. And we made sure to include those that were outside of our corporate limits, may have been in the ETJ or something, but we're in Williamson County. We made sure that they got that information. When I checked last, Wilco Ford had issued 3,662 checks to small businesses totaling $34.2 million. So again, these are things that I think were important. The city got that money out quickly. The county grants came out a couple of months later. It took some time to get that program worked through and kind of check all those things. But the city was able to get that money out quickly, with us. And, through no small part of the city, working with the chamber and promoting it, I think total in Williamson County, a little over 30% of the funding was sent to Precinct 2, which is Western Williamson County, which is where we're at. So, kind of an amazing hurdle to hit.
Yeah, we got more than our share probably.
Yeah.
On that, so that was good news. And I just wanted to once again, council at that time taking action to help small business was huge.
Yeah.
Tony's kind of understating his role with that Wilco Ford, but Cedar Park was leading the charge. We were out front, and I can tell you the number of hours that were spent on Zoom calls, and then we learned about Teams, Google Teams that got introduced at the time, and then we're on all these platforms, but it was there was a lot of conversation because it was bringing different communities together in our viewpoints and how do we get this into one program. Scott Hasselmeyer, the county treasurer who oversaw that program, I believe, in my opinion, did an amazing, unbelievable job.
Absolutely.
The way it did, because there were some tough conversations that were being had, and there was some uneasiness at some times to get the best program available out there, and that's the way it should be. It should have people with different opinions coming together to build that consensus, and what it built to be was, I think, probably the best countywide program that I've come across in the country. Very successful, and they were, they got inundated with applications, and so it took them a little bit longer to get some of those checks out because they got thousands of applications just on the first hour. Yeah. It was incredible. And Tony and I were both sitting there at our homes waiting for the county to have the program up on the website. And once it went out, we sent the emails out, we tweeted it out to all the Cedar Park businesses, and we got the word out as quickly as we could, so that they knew it was available, and that, I think that helped get, 30% of the funding came to Cedar Park, which is great. Because we don't have 30% of the businesses in Williamson County, so that's why that number is pretty good for us. So that was good. And going back to the city's small business assistance program, we really did use that PPP application process as a very good checks and balance for our local taxpayers. Because when somebody applied for that PPP program, then it meant to us, they've gone through they've gone through all the steps needed to be, they've submitted everything to the federal government that needs to be. And so that proved to us that was a little bit of protection for our local citizens. And that was important to us because at the end of the day, it's the citizens' money, and we'll never forget that. And so we want to be protective of that moving forward. But I think at the end of the day, that was about as efficient and an appropriate program as the city could come up, could really run the chamber. And then the county, I thought, did an amazing job in moving their program forward too.
Yeah, that, talking about our program that we administered, there were a couple other caveats. You had to be a business in Cedar Park for 12 months. You had to kind of prove that you had a downward trajectory with COVID. And you got to remember, we had only been 2 months into the pandemic. It was difficult to kind of show that. Honestly, it wasn't, especially after that first full month where things were just going. But, we also wanted to make sure that it went to small businesses, and we weren't asking how the money was going to be spent. We felt like those businesses knew the best way to spend that money to stay viable. So we didn't have restrictions on it. We made sure that it had fewer than 25 full-time employees. Was one of the only other, kind of restrictions on it. And so, we did really try to provide that to as many people as we could.
Yeah, I'd say 20 years of economic development, that was probably one of the most feel-good programs I've ever been a part of. And I hated that we had to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we all hated that we had to do it, but I was really proud of how the city reacted and the chamber reacted and got the money quickly out to the, small businesses.
Yeah, agree. Well, let's kind of turn our focus, from the early parts to recent stuff. And I know that you've had a couple of economic development hits, and so let's talk about some of those.
Yeah, besides the beard that I grew during this time.
I wouldn't call that a hit. I wouldn't call that a hit.
No, maybe it's a miss. The jury's still out, I guess. But yeah, so it's funny because even during a COVID type of year, economic development cannot stop. Even though we did have to kind of retreat a little bit to help out our small businesses and really focus on getting that small business assistance program, the We'll Go Forward program in place, we still couldn't stop trying to attract new investment into Cedar Park, because ultimately that's what keeps that's what helps keeps the tax rate low, jobs for our citizens, and so on. So we cannot stop just because there's a pandemic going on. So we're going to keep pushing. So one of the things we were able to accomplish was getting Rose City Partners to invest in Cedar Park. And one of the exciting things that they were able to do is they agreed to build 3 to 4 100,000 square foot buildings in town center. And the first one is going to be speculative. And I say this over and over again everywhere I go. I don't know any other community that can say they're able to land a project during COVID, during a pandemic, that included 100,000 square feet of Class A office speculative building. I mean, it was great. And what that tells you is the aggressiveness that we're going after companies, and how excited people are about Cedar Park and about the employment growth that's going to occur in Cedar Park over the next several years. This will be the next employment hub for the MSA. And we needed that office space in order to get to achieve that. We need to kick that stuff off because a lot of times, you know, it's the chicken and the egg, and we needed the egg first on this case. Businesses are looking to relocate, especially during COVID. They don't want to wait 14 months for something to get built. They want it to be up and be able to move in within, you know, 3 or 4 months. So it was very important to get a speculative building built, and the Type A board and again council were excellent on that process and supportive all the way. So we really appreciate that leadership and that vision too. We're also trying to expand our tax base and create jobs in Cedar Park at the same time. And so last week, you know, we were able to announce a economic development win with Momentum Extraction. And this is a very exciting project to me. And I think the Cedar Park, because in 2018, there was the United States Farm Bill was passed to where hemp could be used for the extraction of isolates for CBD and other uses coming out of the hemp plant, which is different than the marijuana plant. So let's just put that out there because people like to compare, contrast, but it's totally it's genetically different than a marijuana plant. So it's not even in this, not even the same conversation. But this extraction, so then Texas followed suit, and the Department of Agriculture followed suit from the Farm Bill, and they started putting in their path to progress on this sector. It's a brand new sector for agriculture. And in Texas, as you know, the history of Texas, we're an agriculture and oil state. So, you know, it's important to grow that sector in our state. And so this is a new, you know, a new ag. This is a new crop for us to legally be able to produce and extract. So this sector over the next several years, I mean, it's billions of dollars that this sector is going to grow into over the next couple of years. Cedar Park now has a foothold in this sector. This will be the largest extraction facility in the state of Texas once it's up and running, which is great. That means we'll be having the hemp come in and they will extract, they'll create, they'll be able to extract crude oil from the plant, extract distillates and isolates from the plant. And then those three ingredients will then be shipped to manufacturers who will then use those to produce goods and to produce goods. So they're not actually producing goods at the facility, but they're extracting that material from the plant. But this is a great win for us. 65 jobs, the average salary of $85,000 per job. I mean, it's an excellent win for us. And once again, creating good jobs in the middle of a pandemic, there's not very many communities talking about that either. So Cedar Park is able to talk about speculative Class A office building being built and being able to land a new manufacturing, high-paid, high-end manufacturing facility paying $85,000 per person. I mean, that's, you know, Cedar Park is hitting as well as we can right now during a pandemic. So I think the future's still bright.
I'm going to have to look up what distillate means, but, you know, other than that, you know, it sounds good. Sounds good. You know, another thing that I know, you know, economic development and the city as a whole has had a big, you know, stake in is Bell Boulevard redevelopment has continued to go. It didn't get stopped by COVID either. You know, for anybody who's driven down Bell Boulevard, you see it happening now. You know, there's stuff that's moving. There's dirt being turned. So, you know, I think everybody's really excited about that as well. So we've gotten to a part where we can do some Q&A. Ben, do you have anything else before we get to that?
No, I just want to reiterate, and our partnership with the chamber to me is very important. And when I came here 2 years ago, you know, it was important for me and Tony to have a good relationship, a good work relationship. Luckily, his jokes aren't as funny as mine, so it was easy for us to bond, and I could be the funny one at the table. But no,
Which means I'm the good-looking one, by the way. So
okay, that's probably true too. But it's important, and it's important for our business community to be engaged in the chamber. It is vital so that we can hear feedback from Tony on what the needs are for the business community. It's important for us to know those things, and so it's important. So when we're out recruiting businesses, Cedar Park, one of the things we talk about is being a good corporate citizen. We want companies in Cedar Park that are going to be good corporate citizens. They're going to have their people apply to be on boards and commissions, that the company is going to be active in the chamber. To us, that's important because we don't want them just to come here, set up shop, and then have everybody go home at night. We want them to be part of the community and grow with us. And so, I encourage y'all, if you know of anybody who, needs to be, more active in the community, have them reach back out to Tony. Have them join the chamber. To me, it's important. It's very important to grow our community that way.
Well, thank you for saying that, Ben. I appreciate that, and there was no prompt for that, so I appreciate
I mean it. I mean, I really do mean that, and it is vital.
Well, thank you. We do have a couple of questions. One that we have is we got a question. Can an update be provided on the chamber's involvement with the testing program announced this week by Governor Abbott? Yeah, so there are 6 chambers of commerce throughout the state that are doing this testing program. It's a pilot program. We have not received any more information than what everybody else has received out there through news sources. I do have a phone call into a good friend and CEO of the Lubbock Chamber to see how it's going. Obviously, he's a little busy right now, but as details of that become available, we will certainly be updating our businesses and our citizens here. This one may be a good one for you, Ben. We've got a question. Are we trying to engage with Tesla and SpaceX to bring anything to our city?
The short answer is yes. What we can speak of in a public manner is a little different. Yeah. I will tell you the early on conversations regarding multipliers at the Tesla project is they are locating as close to the Tesla facility as they can, and not much has jumped I-35 yet. But there are projects out there. A lot of them, there are projects out there. We are engaged. I would say we are engaged very appropriately in those conversations that we should be.
Everybody, don't forget some of these things. Don't hit the public waves right off the bat. So, yeah, no, appreciate that, Ben. We've got another question. How long do you think it will take the business community to recover from this, to get back to pre-COVID? I think we can both kind of talk about this. My thought is, it just depends on where your business was before COVID and how, what kind of business you've had during COVID. I think that's going to be an interesting question, one that the chamber is certainly following. We're working on that. A lot of different things have happened. There have been families who are doing remote learning for their kids. There are families who don't have that ability, who need their kids to go to school so that they can go to work. There's childcare issues, for the younger ones. We've got businesses that have never stopped doing what they're doing. The grocery stores never shut down. They were from the beginning. So, you see places like hardware stores that have had banner years because everybody's been doing their honeydew list, their stay-at-home projects. But I think it really depends on what that business was and how it's been impacted by COVID. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It does depend on the sector that they're in. Some of the manufacturers are, it depends on the supply chain for them. But manufacturing was deemed, essential. And so there's a lot of those that were able to keep going on. But it's kind of a global question on where you are in the global market, where your customers are coming from. Retail seems to be bouncing back somewhat. I know Linda Iote's on here, and tourism is an important factor for all of us in our hotel business that we have here. Tourism got hit the hardest of all the departments in the city. Tourism is the one that got hit hard, And when we were planning that budget, because tourism is under economic development for Cedar Park, we were putting that budget together for this fiscal year that just started a month ago. It was hard. I mean, the revenues are down quite a bit, and so we are looking and trying to be creative in ways to attract events or long-standing, opportunities to bring people into the city, because they'll stay at the hotels, and that helps out our tourism. But it also they're going to be out shopping in our local stores, and they're going to be eating in our restaurants, and that generates money for the community as well. So bringing tourism in is important. It's kind of a great way to do economic development, because people come in, spend their money, and then they go home. So it's like it's great.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do more of. Sarah Stanton, who's our tourism manager, I brought her over. She has an economic development background, and so we do have somebody in that seat that understands how to be aggressive and attract new events and new opportunities for Cedar Park. And so I think we'll see that hopefully in the next few years too. Right now, people aren't really building hotels right now. Like if they were already in construction before COVID hit, that's good, but there's no hotels really being built. And the other factor for all that, for not just on top of like tourism, but the business travel is down. And so that affects our hotels as well. So we need to be mindful of our hotels and be as helpful as we can. If you do have family coming in, you don't want them at your house, encourage them to stay in Cedar Park, one of our fine hotels. So that's what I would say about that.
Sounds appropriate. One question that has come up that you had talked about is, does a good corporate business include those that will sponsor and support local nonprofits? And I think, yeah, that's part of what you were talking about. We have a lot of good nonprofits, ones that are members of the chamber, ones that are not, but a lot of nonprofits, again, just like what everybody other business. I mean, nonprofit is a IRS designation. It's not a business model. They don't want to not have a profit. And so, they've been affected too and impacted. And so, as much as anybody can, personally or professionally, if you're able to support a nonprofit that is near and dear to you, I would say Ben and I would be very supportive of that as well. It's important to support those nonprofits because they help a lot of people who need help right now too. Here's a question for you, Ben, because I don't know too much about this. Is our city doing anything about Internet of Things, IoT initiatives, to become a tech hub for IoT companies interested in relocating or expanding here?
Yes. Again, short answer, yes. There are a lot of things in the past. If you were following things with the city budget over the last several months, the city is pushing fiber out, and we'll be able to have fiber in hotspots throughout. I believe there's going to be hotspots throughout. I may be misspoken there, but we're pushing fiber out to different areas of the city that currently doesn't have it, to help with that need, because that is a need for our business community. And there's quite a bit of things that are the IS department here in the city is working on. I don't have that list in front of me. If you'd like to have that, please email me and we'll get you that information.
Very good. Our last question is asking what do we think, let me see this. What do we think is going to be the closest thing to back to normal? When do we think that's going to be? I think we tried to already answer that. It's I think there's if you want to call it a new normal or back to better or whatever kind of catchphrase you want. I think people are going to have to do, what's best for their situation and try to be as normal as possible, whether that means, venturing out and doing things again. But we're trying to do our best to get people to shop local. I mean, that's a back to normal thing. There wasn't a big Black Friday, as big as there has been, but we've got our holiday shopping guide. We've got a lot of people out there trying to normalize shopping for the holiday season. And so, Ben, what would you say?
Yeah, I agree. I think there is kind of getting into that new normal for hope. It's probably going to be another year or two, maybe even. I mean, I think, when you can have curbside pickups, we're seeing that in some of the developments that are being proposed for Cedar Park, that, that's a new thing for the architects and engineers are drawing into plans, our curbside pickups. And so I think when we can help with that, I think that's important. And hey, I just did some of that for Christmas this last weekend. I can buy it locally online and go pick it up and they bring it to me. And that was like wonderful for me because shopping is not one of my favorite activities, but I do at this time of the year, obviously shop local. And I think that's something that we need to keep pushing is to buy local. And that helps everybody out in our community. But I think it's going to be a little bit of time. There's going to be that new normal where we're just going to need to just, it is what it is. People are working from home for 2 or 3 days a week, possibly, but they're going to be in an office for another, 2 or 3 days, the remainder of the week. And I think, local businesses are going to be adapting to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, we're going to go ahead and close it down. I want to thank Ben and the City of Cedar Park Economic Development again. We've got just a couple of announcements. We do have, like I said earlier, our holiday shopping guide. It's available, and it's a great way to support your local businesses, restaurants, retail establishments. So be sure to grab yours today. We have been trying to continue to have our power networking breakfast, even though it is online. So be sure to join us next week at 8:30 for our next power networking breakfast. Thank you again, Cedar Park Regional Medical Center and Cedar Park Economic Development for being the sponsors for this event. And with that, we will close it down. Thank you all for attending and have a great day.